Hello, I'm Kathie Scott Avery, a wife, mother, and grandmother, a writer and editor, and a founder of the website Nurturing Family Faith. I've been a pro-life advocate for many years and more recently became the Respect Life Ministry chairperson in my parish. This talk focuses on the question, do they know you're pro-life? Because I wanted to do three things. First, touch on some of the reasons why it's critical for each of us in our own way to make it known that we are pro-life. Second, take a look at who they are who may need to know. And finally, third, explore 10 action areas that we can use to help assess where we are now in our approach to these people and to identify blind spots or new areas of opportunity where we can kick our advocacy up a notch. So first, briefly, why is it important to let people know we're pro-life? To be blunt, we know the abortion industry, the taking of innocent life, is rooted in evil. That's not to say that everyone involved in or supporting what's known as pro-choice is evil, not at all. But it is to say that the tactics are familiar. Twisted truths, outright lies, temptations, divisiveness, discouragement. It's even possible that we've fallen prey to some of these tactics, and our advocacy has suffered. We may have shied away from speaking up because we believed falsely, like we needed to be an expert with current statistics on the tip of our tongue. Maybe we've been tempted to keep quiet rather than rock the boat. Or maybe we've just felt discouraged because it seems like we can't make a difference. But we are never expected to be the sole warrior or win the whole battle on our own. Our job simply is to shed light and be the light for others. By our willingness to proclaim the pro-life message, we're helping restore what is good. It may seem insignificant, but we work for and with a God who turns mustard seeds into huge bushes. One of the results of us falling prey to evil's tactics is that productive conversations about challenging pregnancies are shut down. It's difficult to get accurate statistics, but two common estimates for the U.S. are that 20% of all pregnancies end in abortion and that 25% of women will have an abortion by age 45. We are bound to know people within those statistical boundaries, which is one reason why it's critical for us to attend to matters in our own backyards. While there are great large-scale campaigns, and we need those, a lot of advocacy is done and much more progress can be made in the places where we live our daily lives. Our pro-life message, grounded in truth and love, can save lives as it ripples through our circles of influence. As nature would have it, that's where we tend to feel most comfortable too. We're designed to live in community. As social beings, sharing our news, ideas, time, activities, and emotions comes naturally to us. Not coincidentally, we are also commanded by God to love others, particularly those He has placed closest to us. 2 points made by Warren Wiersbe, who is a Christian pastor and author, where love without truth is hypocrisy, and truth without love is brutality. His words fit so beautifully with our desire to make an impact while not alienating or being insensitive to the people in our lives who need to know the truth of the pro-life message. These are the ones referred to in the original question, do they know you're pro-life? Who exactly are these people? They could include our spouse, children, grandchildren, and all relatives in our extended families, friends, neighbors, co-workers, and even acquaintances from the gym or coffee shop. These are the people we see regularly or periodically, and with whom we are in a position right now to take steps that encourage recognition of and commitment to the fact that human life at every stage has boundless value, and to correct the mistaken notion that taking an innocent life anywhere between conception and natural death is okay. That's obviously a lot of people. Most likely there are some who already share our perspective. It's also likely that we'll discover many more as we expand on our conversations and activities, and those connections are uplifting, inspiring, and powerful. On the other hand, it can be challenging to think about how to approach others, especially those we know who are resistant to an anti-abortion message. In some circles, there may even be taboos to consider. On the job, for example, talking about anything controversial may be strictly off limits, but organizing a lunchtime baby shower that celebrates a coworker's pregnancy is probably fine. The point is, we won't interact the same way, with the same intensity, the same frequency, or even the same messaging with all people. But neither will we make any progress at all in cultivating a culture of life if we shy away from stepping out of our comfort zones. So how do we navigate these frontiers to intentionally introduce or grow life-affirming and life-saving messages? Here are the 10 action areas, each followed by suggestions or examples that can help us assess what we're doing now, as well as provide possibilities for one or some new ways to bring more light to a very dark issue. Number 1, Pray and sacrifice. I know this sounds obvious because we all know these should be at the hub of everything we do, but it's easy to fall into prayer routines that don't necessarily include a specific focus on pro-life, and even easier to neglect opportunities to offer up small sacrifices that present themselves each day. In addition to joining our pro-life intentions to traditional prayers and sacrifices, we may find spontaneous prayer beneficial. 4 common guides in formulating our own prayers include praise, petition, intercession, and thanksgiving. For example, we may be inspired to praise God for a person He has brought into our life, petition Him for forgiveness for times we've neglected to stand up for life, or to ask for ears that hear a cry for help. Use intercessory prayer to target a specific person in need and to ask others, including the saints, to intercede for our mission. Or in thanksgiving, offer a prayer for being present to us in a contentious conversation. 2. Listen and engage. These may sound like strange actions in advocacy, but they need to be emphasized. Our ears are doorways that need to stay open, and it's hard to say what good idea or urgent need we'll walk through. While 2 heads are better than 1, and many good ideas and insights are sure to come from fellow pro-lifers, if we're not careful, those groups can also become conversational echo chambers. We need to find ways we can move beyond these and engage with others. By being alert, we may, for example, discover the needs of someone in distress, hear the reasoning of a pro-choice acquaintance, detect subtle or casual anti-life myths, or learn about local resources. 3. React. So much of our lives are reactions to what is going on, so it's a good place to be especially careful and diligent. While it's easy to express excitement about good news, it may take more effort to step up and offer our time, understanding, or material assistance in difficult circumstances. Some moments require us to be the calming voice that brings the conversational temperature down. We may even need to curb our reaction by biting our tongue and offering it up when irritated or impatient by conditions we can't fix. Hardest of all may be measuring our response when evil seems to have scored a big win and we feel overwhelmed by outrage or frustration. Even then, or maybe especially then, it's important to rein in our emotions. Sometimes it's helpful to remind ourselves that the war is with principalities, pray for those who have been tools of evil, and ask for guidance in how to react. And then perhaps we can coherently express our sadness or outrage and the reason for it, firmly correct some wrong information, gently point out a sinful attitude or action, or probe for some common pro-life ground and share that tiny kernel of unity before addressing how the situation diverts from what is loving and true. 4. Learn. As mentioned before, we can glean a lot of useful information from conversations. In addition, there are numerous resources that target specific pro-life topics. There's no need to be the expert, although we may develop expertise along the way. Our interests and situations already provide a sensible starting point. For example, a parent of a worldly wise teen may be looking for ways to stress the beauty and logic of purity, while a young adult may be searching for local resources to help a pregnant friend. Books, websites, podcasts, videos, and classes are rich sources of knowledge. In addition, our churches, diocesan offices, college campuses, national and state pro-life organizations, and pregnancy centers may have or be able to direct us to multiple sources of information or help. Just starting with an internet search can open doors to what we need or want to know. 5. Teach. Certain situations may call for educating others, and some of us have a particular gift or vocation for this. Parenting, though, is a teaching marathon, and so I'm focusing on that for a number of reasons. 1. Our children are tomorrow's pro-life or pro-choice advocates. 2. At some point, they and their peers will be prime targets for the temptations and the lies of an anti-life subculture. And can I say this delicately? Targets for the temptations that lead into that subculture. 3. Parents can and do have a profound influence on their children and the duty to use it wisely and lovingly. And 4. Parents have the privilege to represent and personify truth, love, forgiveness, and mercy to their children, and the responsibility to connect the dots, so to speak, so their children come to understand that all these good things ultimately come from a loving God. There will be many teachable moments that arise for addressing particular issues, but if our families are grounded in God's love and joy, and then follow the wisdom and teachings of the Church, utilize the sacraments, and actively practice the virtues outlined in our faith, We will have provided armor, lens, and habits our children can use to guide themselves and ideally influence others as well. 6. Join. One of the easiest entry points for increasing our pro-life advocacy is joining something already established. For example, my children's youth group needed chaperones for their March for Life pilgrimage to our nation's capital, so I volunteered and continue doing it gladly for more than a dozen years. While I was just one of hundreds of thousands at the march itself, we were a homegrown group of family and friends sharing an inspiring, informative, and bonding experience. Whatever our interests, talents, time, or mobility constraints, there's something for all to do. We may find our place in or through our local church or pregnancy counseling center, or discover opportunities through other likely avenues like the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, the Respect Life Office of our diocese, or national or state pro-life organizations such as the March for Life or 40 Days for Life. Again, internet searches can also turn up organizations and opportunities that are completely new to us but located nearby. 7. Initiate and ask. When my son and I did a pro-life fundraising event at our church, I was kind of shocked by the number of people who came out of the woodwork for it. We were grateful for their support, of course, and they, as it turned out, were also grateful. We had inadvertently provided a tangible way for them to express their dedication to defending life. More people than we realize are pro-life. Many of them are willing to help in whatever way they can. So don't be shy. Anytime we think someone should, we can go ahead and be that someone who gets things started. The ideas mentioned about join in are equally relevant for initiate and ask. Number 8, share. One morning after Mass, a friend pulled me aside to say he had participated in a prayer vigil outside an abortion facility and saw several women turn away from the facility and walk down the block to the pro-life pregnancy center. My first reaction was, that is so great. My second thought was, I haven't done that in a while and I really should. Sharing pro-life news can simply remind people that the cause is alive and well, but it can also inspire others to take action. If we do something, read something, hear something, we should let others know. Tell people, post it on social media, send it to the local radio or newspaper if it's newsworthy. If you have particular talents, use those to share as well. Number 9, be a silent witness. Sometimes no interaction is necessary to convey a pro-life message. Large families are a witness to how love can expand, not deplete love. On Respect Life Sunday each October, Catholics in the U.S. and Canada line streets for silent public prayer with signs affirming the value of human life. Even bumper stickers can promote a pro-life outlook and provide information for those experiencing challenging pregnancies. Number 10, obey. We are commanded to love our neighbor, and love, as we know, is not merely an emotion. It's a decision and action which starts by acknowledging and protecting all persons' right to live from conception to natural death, and then continues in service to others in need. Love isn't just an option, it's our responsibility. All we need to do is determine ways we are called to respond. In closing, I wanted to revisit those statistics mentioned earlier and look at the flip side of them. Despite a decades-long and very aggressive push for a right to abortion, about 80% of pregnancies follow their natural God-given progression toward birth, and 75% of women will not have an abortion during their lifetime. Our society leans toward pro-life, and we can lean into that. May we continue our witness to truth and love, and may God continue to bless each of us in our efforts. Thank you.